Happy Wednesday, everyone. Well, not if you're Whoopi Goldberg, a.k.a. Karen Johnson. Yeah, who knew Whoopi was a Karen? I thought that was only for white people, like Toyota Priuses and skiing. Roll it, Francis.
Good morning and welcome to The View. You all saw the news. Whoopi will be back here in 2 weeks. Okay?
It's so cute when one of their side gets punished. They sulk like they ran out of raw cookie dough in the green room.
Whoopi Goldberg just had a meltdown so dramatic. It deserves its own Lifetime movie, complete with slow piano music and intense stays. The trigger? Greg Gutfeld, who dropped a roast so savage it sent her ego into hiding. If you thought daytime TV was chaotic before, wait until you see Whoopi unravel faster than one of her punchlines. Buckle up. This takedown is messier than a Real Housewives reunion in the middle of a storm.
She suspended Whoopi for 2 weeks because she said the Holocaust had nothing to do with race. She said this on a show called The View, which makes everything about race. Except now.
The Holocaust isn't about race. No, it's not about race.
It is. It's about a different race.
But it's not about race. It's not about race.
What is it about?
Because it's about man's inhumanity to man.
Yeah, that's heroically stupid. Even
Whoopi's latest outburst makes toddler tantrums look like Zen meditation. One moment she's preaching from her faux leather throne on The View, and the next she's unraveling like a cheap sweater in Spin Cycle. The culprit? Greg Gutfeld, the Fox News firestarter who wields sarcasm like a flamethrower in a fireworks factory.
on The View, otherwise known as Hell's DMV, Whoopi Goldberg asked how much different are the values of the Trump administration from the Taliban.
We have a leader who has repeatedly demeaned women, wants to defund organizations that benefit women, calling on the media to shut up, specifically wants to give preferential treatment based on...
But let's not act surprised. Whoopi's been on a slow roll toward this public crash like it was an all-inclusive meltdown getaway. The View, once meant to be a forum for lively debate, has devolved into a chaotic group chat with 5 glitching Siri bots arguing over who's the most self-righteous. And leading the circus with a tambourine of indignation is Whoopi, mistaking loud opinions for hard facts and volume for virtue.
Talk about groundbreaking to actually hear a celebrity say something mean about the Taliban. How dare they compare them to Trump? The Taliban should sue. Guess they ran out of Hitler analogies. So as they bash the president, I'm reminded how entertainers rarely express any rage over any strand of misogynist Islamism. If they did, we might take their rage toward Trump seriously. A reminder, the Taliban throw acid in girls' faces for going to school. Yeah, I guess that's like defunding Planned Parenthood. Radical Islam is all for killing gays, and I guess that's the same as making some rude jokes. No, Trump's past rudeness is a product of a rude culture, one fed and fattened by a coarse entertainment industry.
Now picture her horror. Greg Gutfeld, smirking and loaded with satire, finally fired back. His clapback was so sharp it reverberated beyond Fox News and straight into Whoopi's soul. Her response: a meltdown with the structural integrity of a wet tissue, complete with gasps, eye rolls, and that signature look of disbelief that anyone would dare roast the high priestess of daytime drama.
Canada, apparently they're throwing tariffs on manatee meat and bovine semen, which means The View is very unhappy. Sausage maker Johnsonville is recalling more than 42,000 pounds of pork sausage for possible contamination with plastic fibers. Fortunately, authorities were able to track all 42,000 pounds to a single location in New York City.
Let's be clear. This wasn't just any roast. Gutfeld didn't merely humiliate Whoopi. He dissected her talking points with the precision of a chef deboning a fish, while she rambled on about whatever cause of the week was trending in her curated echo chamber. He exposed the Swiss cheese logic behind her tirades, and instead of crafting a rational rebuttal, Whoopi defaulted to her signature move, flailing. This is a woman who's elevated emotional grandstanding into an Olympic event, always ready to pull the victim card like a magician yanking a dove from her sleeve, one that coos, "How dare you?" But don't mistake this breakdown for vulnerability. It was performance art, plain and simple. The View has become a petri dish for ideological conformity, where intellectual diversity goes to die a slow, overly caffeinated death. The hosts don't really debate. They nod in unison like well-groomed bubbleheads terrified of cracking their veneers. Each episode is a competition to deliver the most obverse take with maximum smugness. And Whoopi, she's the undefeated champion of that smug parade, dishing out lukewarm hot takes with the confidence of someone who skimmed a headline 2 weeks ago and now thinks she's writing policy briefs for the UN.
Brains are small, but who's the dumbest one of all? True, none of them are in Mensa, but who's the most densa? Perhaps it's Sunny who mastered the art of making idiots look smart. Now, The View could ask a mirror who's the dumbest one of all, but there's no way that glass doesn't shatter. So instead, let's check out this clip from Monday's episode of The View when the ladies put their science caps on and discuss the solar...
The moment anyone dares to interrupt the groupthink, they are either shouted down, gaslit, or, if they are a guest, politely vanished into commercial break obscurity. It's less a talk show and more a live-action reenactment of a Twitter mob. So when Gutfeld entered the chat, metaphorically speaking, he wasn't just tossing shade. He hurled truth grenades into a house made entirely of feelings that he called out what viewers have long suspected. The sanctimony on The View is so dense, it may as well be a co-host. Whoopi, caught mid-monologue, looked like someone who'd stumbled into a logic seminar by mistake. Her reaction was a masterpiece. First came the glare, the kind that screams, "How dare you question me, peasant?" Then the dramatic sigh, as if the burden of the world had just landed squarely between her designer brooch and inflated moral compass. And finally, the breakdown. A whirlwind of pseudo-intellectual rambles, vague historical references, and what could only be described as emotional interpretive dance. You could practically hear the producers scrambling for a commercial break. Because nothing says daytime disaster like a host trying to cry without smudging her eyeliner while shouting half-baked takes on issues she barely understands.
The hallway.
The rapture is here.
The rapture's here. And then also I learned that the cicadas are coming.
Cicadas.
Cicadas.
Although I love
for the first time in like
No,
100 years.
no.
For the first time in many, many years.
No, every 17 years this happens.
Well, that's not what I read, but maybe, maybe you know better. All those things together would maybe lead one to believe that, either climate change exists or something is really going on.
returning.
Earthquakes are not at the mercy of climate change. It's underground.
No,
It
it happens, and the eclipse, they've known about the eclipse coming because eclipses happen, and they actually can say when these things are going to happen.
Amazing. Wow. That's not what I read. The true sign of the apocalypse is someone that dumb has a law degree. Worse, if your name has the word sun in it, there's no excuse for not knowing how an eclipse works. But it's no surprise that Joy is the one who understands science. She's been on the science diet for years.
Gutfeld didn't even have to try that hard. All he did was hold up a mirror. And what did that mirror reveal? A show coasting on outrage instead of insight, a host who confuses volume with validity, and a panel so allergic to dissent they'd break out in hives if exposed to a conservative opinion for more than 10 seconds. Gutfeld didn't just roast Whoopi. He exposed the hollowness of the entire setup. His commentary, dripping with satire, sliced through the fog of self-importance that hangs over The View like a bad smell. While Whoopi scrambled for a comeback, her co-hosts nodded in unison like backup singers in a cult musical. But let's talk about those co-hosts, shall we? Because this wasn't just a solo crash, it was a group nosedive. Every time Whoopi flailed, they leaned in with supportive murmurs and facial expressions that screamed, "We didn't prepare for this." Joy Behar looked like she'd just discovered gravity, while Sunny Hostin fumbled out a word salad that would make a thesaurus beg for mercy together. They launched the ceremonial circle the wagons maneuver, turning the moment into a group therapy session where accountability is a foreign concept and feelings reign supreme. They framed Gutfeld's takedown not as a critique, but as an attack on all women, all hosts, and, presumably, anyone who's ever owned a coffee mug with an inspirational quote.
Hostin's obsession with race gets thrown back in her face. Today's video comes to us from sunny Austin. Sounds like a town. We're in sunny Austin. She was on PBS's Finding Your Roots, a show dedicated to researching celebrity ancestry. For context, Sunny is a staunch supporter of reparations and has made a fortune spewing nonsense about white privilege and racial justice. Well, turns out she's not as oppressed as she claims she is. She's actually the descendant of slave owners.
But here's the twist. No one outside that studio was buying it. The internet lit up like a Christmas tree run by a Red Bull-addicted elf, memes, reaction videos, sarcastic TikToks. It was open season. Whoopi's meltdown was instantly dissected, remixed, and replayed in slow motion with dramatic violins. And what made it even more humiliating? This wasn't a one-off. It was just the latest entry in a long list of classic Whoopi moments. Those glorious occasions when her arrogance slams headfirst into actual pushback. And every time it happens, she reacts like it's the first disagreement she's heard since 1993. Honestly, it's almost impressive to be so persistently wrong while remaining so defiantly loud about it. The View has perfected the art of being proudly uninformed. Watching it is like attending a book club where no one reads the book but everyone has a TED Talk about the cover. And poor Gutfeld, he didn't even insult her personally. He challenged her ideas. But in Whoopi's magical kingdom, disagreeing with her opinions is blasphemy. Why engage in thoughtful debate when you can collapse into melodrama, claim victimhood, and ascend to the moral high ground?
Whoopi claims Biden's loose bowels should make voters throw in the towels. Goldberg's rational so weak she doesn't care if Biden can't speak. Yes, it's a magical land where little Debbies make big bellies and brain cells go to die. This week on The View, Whoopi doubled down on her support of Joe Biden's re-election. No surprise. But it was her peculiar poo-powered prose that piqued my potty predilection. Roll it!
I don't care if he's pooped his pants. I don't care if he can't put a sentence together.
Meanwhile, Gutfeld walked away from the clash like a guy who just won an argument with a GPS. He didn't gloat, didn't double down, just shrugged, cracked another joke, and disappeared back into whatever vampire lair he sleeps in when he's not dismantling televised hypocrisy. And honestly, that is what made the humiliation sting even more. Whoopi brought emotional fireworks to a logic fight and lost. While she tried to rewrite reality with facial expressions and dramatic sighs, Gutfeld stayed grounded in the most dangerous weapon of all, common sense. By the end of the segment, Whoopi looked like a deflated version of her former smugness, her confidence gone, replaced with the haunted expression of someone who might, just might, have to rethink something. Tragic, really. But don't worry. By the next episode, she was back in full form. Any whiff of introspection had been replaced with righteous indignation and a curated monologue about how people who disagree with her are morally bankrupt, because that's how The View survives, not by learning, not by evolving, but by endlessly circling the same emotional drain and calling it discourse. So what's the moral of this melodrama? Even the most self-important voices can't survive a light breeze of actual critique.
If he his pants, and in fact, she'll stand right behind him. Not only does she have a terrible case of Trump derangement, she also has no sense of smell or a really weird fetish. And I'm not one to kink shame, to each his own. I guess you just got tired of Joy's crap. Kat, you know what was the most interesting thing about this? Was the audience reaction. Like, when she started talking about poop being everywhere, the audience was, like, frozen. They were like, what is going on here? Whoopi has a poop problem.
What does she mean she has poopy days?
She has poop.
Public breakdowns are inevitable when your whole persona is built on being unchallenged. And Greg Gutfeld, love him or loathe him, doesn't mind walking into the hornet's nest and swinging .as for Whoopi. Maybe next time she could try breaking out of the bubble instead of breaking down in it. Step outside the smugness, the delusion that her opinions are sacred relics. But then again, where's the fun in that? After all, without The View and its perpetual parade of cluelessness, where else would we turn to feel better about our own ability to form coherent thoughts? Thanks for the laughs, Whoopi. Even your meltdowns are comedic gold. while she delivers emotional TED Talks with the urgency of someone who just discovered Wikipedia. Gutfeld is over on Fox telling jokes. Imagine that. Humor in political commentary. Revolutionary. While The View drowns in its own righteous outrage, Greg's doing nightly stand-up disguised as news, and still managing to make more sense than 5 women screeching over each other like caffeinated parrots in a wind tunnel his secret weapon. Laughter, not the canned, studio-trained, please clap kind, real, involuntary, snot-out Yono's laughter.
Studies are married white women, and they do fall in line with what their husbands are doing.
People have to wonder, where does Sunny Hostin get her opinions?
Yeah.
Like you said, and it's obviously from her husband. She has to tell her what to say on The View, because without it, she's got nothing up there. She's not very bright. But the problem with her is that she went full race.
He doesn't need 5 co-hosts nodding like dashboard bobbleheads to validate his opinions. He doesn't weaponize victimhood or cry on cue like a soap actress gunning for a daytime Emmy. That he dismantles hypocrisy with one-liners sharper than Joy Behar's haircut, and they land. Because humor makes truth digestible, even when it hurts. Meanwhile, The View treats every disagreement like a hate crime. Disagree with them, and suddenly you're the villain in a 4-part Netflix documentary that they are not here for dialogue. They are here for claptrap, that smug blend of applause and self-congratulation that kicks in when someone says something brave like, I don't like Trump. Oh, groundbreaking. Quick, call the Pulitzer Committee. Gutfeld, on the other hand, embraces the tension. He mocks both sides when needed, because he understands the line between comedy and commentary is where real influence lives. That's why his audience is growing, while The View's audience is aging out like expired yogurt. Younger viewers don't want finger-wagging lectures. They want sarcasm served with a side of truth.
Sunny Hostin, who thinks climate change caused the solar eclipse, the dumbest of them all. Because everyone knows the moon caused the eclipse, which is controlled by The View's gravitational pull. All right, Kat, did you ever see such a group? It's amazing how Joy and Whoopi became the smart ones.
For me, the most shocking thing about the conversation was how truly boring it was.
And let's talk numbers, because while The View thrives on feelings, ratings don't lie. And those numbers, they paint a cold, hard picture. Then came the internet roast.as for Greg. The comment sections were practically a standing ovation. This wasn't just a win, it was a landslide. While Whoopi clutched her pearls, Gutfeld casually claimed the comedy crown. MIC in hand, 0 apologies given. The empire of ego tried to strike back. But, spoiler alert, no one cared. Of course, the rest of The View's squadron of indignation quickly followed suit. Sunny Hostin deployed her signature passive-aggressive eye roll, the kind that could curdle milk. Anna Navarro made dramatic throat noises like she was auditioning for a telenovela. And Joy blinked rapidly and muttered something vaguely furious. Though to be fair, that's just her factory setting that they'll recover eventually. But for now, let's pause and offer our sincerest sarcastic thanks, because without The View, we'd never fully grasp what happens when privilege, delusion, and overconfidence are given a daily time slot and a live studio audience. Their unintentional comedy is a national treasure, scripted not by writers, but by pure, unfiltered hubris. And Whoopi, if her ego got any bigger, it would apply for an SAG card and start hosting the show solo. So here's to them. Our noble morning jesters, keep talking. We need the laughs.